to die. Why can't I talk as soon as I turn on the camera? Like, why? Today I have a quick story time. I thought this was, you know, good because my demographic is around the age of 16-year-old girls. So I thought this was gonna be a good story time to do because a lot of you guys may be able to relate, maybe can take some things to what I did, maybe don't do. Tell you guys about my story. So I was 16 years old and I met a boy. I'm gonna call him Steven. I'm gonna call him Steven just for the sake of this video. I digged him, he digged me, and when I first met him, I told him my age, which was 16, and he told me he was 18, so I was like, hey, that's not too bad. An older guy, yeah. Yes, girl, like this guy's cute. I was so happy about it. So I gave him my number one day, and he actually phoned me when I wasn't there. I forget where I was because this was like over 10 years ago. And when I came home, my mom's like, Ricky, I'm pretty sure it was Ricky. Ricky, some Ricky phoned for you. Do you know a Ricky? I'm pretty sure that's exact name is what she said. And I'm like, no. What? Ricky, what did they say? What did they want? Like, I was so confused as to who Ricky was. She's like, okay, well, Ricky phoned. He wants you to phone him back. I was like, well, I can't phone back a Ricky if I don't know who the hell a Ricky is. Like, what is this life? Like, is the Secret Service after me? Who's Ricky? Is the Illuminati want me? It was like a few days later, I went out. We would always go to this park, like me and my friends, and that's where Steven would be. And then I saw Steven. He's like, oh, why didn't you phone me back the other day? Are you not really into me? And I'm like, you didn't phone? He's like, yeah. And he said, I didn't use my name though. What? I was like, you're Ricky? He's like, yeah, that's just the fake name I use. First of all, first red flag. What? Like, why would you lie? Like, it's not like we hooked up or what. There was nothing like bad happening. I was just like hanging out with this guy, never even hugged him, never kissed him, never did anything like that. I was just hanging out with this guy, gave him my number, and then he tells my mom his name's a completely different name. He goes, yeah, it's no big deal, like that's just how it is. So then about a week after that, he met my mom with my friend. Like, we were just like all hanging out in our house, and my mom's like, oh hey, and he kept telling me he doesn't want to meet my mom, he doesn't want to, like, he doesn't like to meet people like that, like he doesn't like to. And it was all really odd. He was like very like trying to get away from my parents or meet anyone else who wasn't already his friend, like, because my friends like pretty much met him in the park, like, so weird as it is. But any like of my friends at school who didn't know him, he was like hesitant to meet or interact with anyone that I knew, which was odd. So my mom, I was like, yeah, this is Steven, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, hey, well, who is Ricky? And I'm telling her I have no idea who Ricky is, and I just like never told her. I've told her since then that that was him. I started going over to his house, and ironically, we lived like a block or two apart. So it was like really quick just to walk over there, which was actually the bad thing because then I was over there all the time. So I went over there and I saw his dad, and I was like, hi, my name is Samantha, and he just like looked at me and like went in the house, and I thought he like hated me or he was some like bitch or dick, but in actuality he realized that I was very young. He didn't want to deal with it. I was just some young girl. The first impression meeting him, like I was like, hi mate, hi, nice to meet you, my name's Samantha, and he just like looked at me, went in the house. I was like, cool, like this is such a great day, like I love this. So didn't pay it any mind, whatever. He didn't really want to meet my family. His family was apparently a dick. So we would phone each other quite a bit. We were getting really close, and I was phoning him a lot. He was phoning me. I would phone in and say like, hey, Steven there, to his dad, and he'd be like, what do you want with Steven? Like, what, how old are you? I remember him asking me, and I was like, I'm 16. And he's like, what are you doing with Steven then? And I'm like, well, he's only like 2 years older than me, like it's not that bad. I have absolutely no problem with age gapped relationships. Watching this back, I can kind of see if I give off that impression, but in actuality, I have no problem with it at all. I just think that when you are 16 and there's such an age gap, you might not be mature enough for that relationship. Not all the time, no, but in this case, I was not. So then, he obviously had my number because I was phoning there. He phoned my mom when I was at school, and when I came home, my mom went hard. What are you doing messing around with a 23-year-old man who doesn't have a job, still lives with his parents, he literally doesn't do anything all day? What are you doing? And I was like, what? Who? My mom was like, yeah, he's 23 years old, you didn't know that? I'm like, well, he told me he was 18. My mom's like, okay, well then you need to leave him. It actually went into this vicious cycle. I didn't end up leaving him until like 6 years down the line. It was on again, off again relationship, just like all ups and downs with this Steven guy. But anyway, At this time, at 16 years old, I was like, what? So I phoned him and I asked him, like, are you 23? He's like, no, I'm not 23, I'm 22, but I will be 23. And I was like, cool. And I said, why would you tell me you're 18 and why would you tell my mom your name was Ricky? He's like, because I'm just ashamed, like I don't want anyone to know because I really like you, but I don't want age to be a thing. And I was like, yeah, you know, like if I really like this guy, then age shouldn't be a thing. That's how I felt at the time, of course, being really young. I pretty much started changing because my mom was like, why? Like, stop hanging out with this guy. Like, you have your whole, like, grades ahead of you. Like, this guy, he is, like, avoiding your mom, which, like, me and my mom have always been really close. What is wrong with you? I would be like, it's fine. Like, I like him. Like, and if you don't like him, that's rude. And I was, like, changing into some, like, bitch to my mom. Like, I was really bitchy at this time, like really standoffish from her. And then he would tell me on the phone, like, she's trying to break us up, she doesn't want us to be together, that's so messed up. And I was really siding with him because of the love. So I thought, you know, when you think that you're in love, especially very young girls and boys, it can really take a hold of you and just make you think that love is the only thing in this world. And these relationships that you've grown with, your mom, your dad, your brother, whoever it is that you've like grown with, all of a sudden slightly don't matter because you're in love and you want to be with that person now and you're sharing your life with somebody else. So you're like, if these people don't like him, then screw them. Something that I'm really sad about, I do not regret though, because it honestly has taught me a lot, made me stronger, made me even closer with my family, but it was a rough time. Be really close with this guy that I thought I really liked. Turned out being a fuckboy, but I really thought I was into him, and then having my family, which your family knows best, your mama knows best, she knows what's good for you and what's not, to an extent, but she knew from the get-go that this guy was trouble. I just kept going, like I was just like attached, and sometimes we can get like that in relationships, and it's really hard to get out of a relationship once you're like reeled in and you feel like a real big connection with this person. And also, I don't want to be like a big pity party, but I feel really bad for certain people, especially, like I'm not going to get into his life, but I felt so bad for him and multiple different things for Steven, and I wanted to kind of like help him through things, and I just felt really bad, and it made me even more attached. So ladies, gentlemen, please put yourself as number one in a relationship. Don't just put down your feelings or make yourself in second place. You are your own best friend. You are you. So you need to give yourself a big hug and stand up. I know when you're young, I know, like I was in this position, AKA this story time. When you're young, you can kind of get like a clouded judgment, but if you can really just put yourself out of your body and look into the situation from a different set of eyes and say, like, is this really what I want? Like, this happened, like all these things. The list goes on. Like, do I want to be in that relationship? And really, if you're feeling a little bit about the relationship, it is so much easier to get out at the beginning than it is like a year or 2 or 3 down the line, especially when you're young. And if you are in a controlling or abusive, whatever manipulative relationship that you are in, it gets even harder because the grasp can go even harder. But I hope you guys can see what I'm trying to say. I really just don't want to see any of my viewers here go through anything that I did. Many people go through it where they, you know, have a guy or a girl that just takes a hold of them, and it's really sad. So my mom would say to me, he was a loser because he didn't have a job. He was 23 years old, didn't work, didn't contribute, didn't even like mow the lawn or help around the house. Like, it's okay if you're 23 and live at home, that's no problem. But like help with the house. When your parents are at work all day, maybe you could like make supper or clean the fridge or do something, you know what I mean? But this person wouldn't do anything. So that's why my mom said that he was a loser, wouldn't look for a job, didn't care, like all that. Using my paychecks when I worked at Value Village to go buy booze and all this. So she called him a loser. So whenever I was on the phone with him or he would ask for me, she'd be like, the loser wants to talk to you, the loser, right? Which in a sense, she has every right to do that because that's her little girl. She wants to try to protect, but I'm like, no bitch, like I really like this guy, which is so stupid. But anyway, so I'm on the phone with him, and I promise you, like every single time my mom would say something meanly, because my mom's like very opinionated, as you know, if you watch things like that with my mom in it. But I would be talking to him and he'd be like, your mom's such a bitch, she's such a bitch, I want to kill her. So one time I had the phone on speakerphone because I was playing World of Warcraft, so I just had it sitting there and it was on speakerphone. I wasn't saying anything, and my mom overheard it, and she was like, waited till I was off the phone, then had a serious sit-down conversation with me and told me a daughter should never talk to somebody that says that they want to murder their mom. Joking or not, serious or not, it should not happen. And now, 27 years old, if somebody said that to me, I would go off. You know what I mean? And that it counts with immaturity and not being mature enough for a relationship or the real world, so to speak. Hey, oh, it's him. Just kidding. Oh my God. It was actually my mom. I love that. My mom and I just like text anything to each other, and we're so close now, so it just breaks my heart to remember this and like talk about it all the time and laugh and realize that it's made us really strong. If you guys can avoid it and just keep the strength with your mom or your dad or your brother, whoever, your family is number one, and so are you. A boy or a girl, like, relationships come and go, bros before hoes. Ew, that old saying. So anyway, she was like, you should never be with somebody like that, and I feel so bad for this. So I phoned Steven, and after our conversation, my mom knew I was talking to him. I hung up the phone, but I still had it to my ear, and I said, you know, Steven, you can't talk like that to my mom. And I had it off, like he wasn't on the phone anymore. My mom was standing right there. I was literally just doing it for her, but I wasn't actually talking to him. I was like, you can't keep doing this to my mom, like, because this is something I would never say to him because I was really young and dumb, and I just was scared to stand up to somebody like that because they were so much older. I felt like so much more powerful than me. So I was like, you can't do this to my mom. I love my mom. You can't talk to her like that. I won't stand for it. If you don't respect her, you don't respect me, and I won't have it. And I was like getting all like into it, like wishing I could say this to him. And I was like doing that. My mom was like almost in tears, being so proud for her daughter saying this to Steven, and I wasn't even saying it to him. So I was like, bye, and I like clicked end, because on our phones, like the old school phones, like house phones, you clicked it would still beep. But I was like, shh. My mom's like, I'm so proud of you. I love you. Thank you for, you know, putting me above just some guy that's come into your life randomly and who's using you. And I just felt in that moment that I just like, I wasn't being genuine, and I felt just such like a shitty person. Since then, I've really made it up to my mom, and it's good now. But please, you guys, if you can avoid this fuck girl shit that I did when I was younger, please avoid it. Your mom is your mama bear, okay? Nobody can talk shit about her in front of you, and you be like, oh my God, Steven, let's go to a movie. Like, ah. And then, obviously, because I didn't say that to Steven on the phone, he phoned back like the next day, right? And I was just like talking to him like normal, and my mom overheard it, and she's like, are you kidding? Like, you just told them all that, and this is what's happening? So it caused a lot of tension. Like, I was swearing at her, yelling at her, told her, Kate, like, this is a guy I really like, so if you can't handle that, then leave. And then, oh my demons are coming out. So one day, there was a spider in my room, and it was like 11 p.m., a school night. And I phoned Steven. I was like, remember, we were only living like a block or two away. So I was like, there's a spider in my room. Can you please come help me? The back door's unlocked. Like, I can't leave. If you're afraid of spiders, you can't leave its sight. Because if you turn your head and it's gone, now you can't sleep. Now you can't be even in that room. You need to phone some pesticide control and have it like fumigated or whatever. So I was like, I can't take my eyes off this, Steven. You need to come here. So he came quietly in the back door because my mom didn't like him and he didn't like her, obviously. So he came down there, got the spider, flushed it down the toilet. Sorry for people that like don't like that, but that's just what happened. I'm sorry. Like, R.I.P. Let's have a mini funeral. Ooh, James the spider. James the spider. We love you. Ooh, sorry about your soul. Repent. And we were just like talking after that, and then talking led to other things, led to kissing, led to just like chilling on my bed, led to just like talking very quietly though, because my parents are sleeping upstairs and my brother is sleeping like literally in the next room. We hooked up, whatever. Just fell asleep, right? Cool. And he's like, I'll just leave in the morning really quick because I had to leave for school. My mom wakes me around like 7:30. He forgot to get out of the house and I didn't wake up. I set an alarm actually a little bit before. I'm not sure what happened. Some ghost. So it was meant to be that that alarm didn't go off. She was coming down the stairs and my mom's loud. So she was walking down the stairs and we were like, looked at each other like, oh my God. So he quickly rolled off the bed and I threw my blanket over him like that. So he was just like, I was like, shut the and I was just like trying to sleep, and she's like, my mom knew right away something was up. And she's like, good morning, because I'm like never up. I'm like a sleeping ass bitch. So she's like, what is going on? And like she went around to the other side. Like she suspected something because I was acting weird these few weeks and just like not myself. And there was this guy who was a lot older than me, like manipulating me and all that shit. Went over to the side and there was like this lump, but you couldn't see him, right? Because there was a blanket over him. And all she did was like tap it with her foot, and she knew. She's like, get out. She flipped. She knew right away. She's like, get out, I'm calling the cops, this is so like, she was like freaking out, and I'm like, calm down, like, it's okay, he's gonna leave. And she's like, you're not having sex in my house, you're not blah, 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 this isn't a party house, or what, we weren't partying. My mom's livid. He like runs out of the house calling her, sorry, excuse my language, a cunt, a bitch, a whore. And my mom's like, why aren't you standing up for me to me? And I'm like, like I didn't know what was happening because I really like this guy, but I love my mom. And she's like, I can't take this. She didn't phone the cops. I thought she was because she had the phone. She was phoning his parents because she has his number, and she was telling them, and it was just a huge shit show. He left. I went to school, came back, and there was one little like tote bag, like a little tote bag like this of my stuff. There was a toothbrush, there was toothpaste, a granola bar, and that is it. That is it. Now, I was just at school when I came home, so I had my school bags and my purse, which had my cell phone in it. And I just went, so I opened the door, locked. Okay, so it's usually not locked, like I told you, the door's open at our old place, and we'd always leave the door unlocked, which was stupid. And then I grabbed my key, didn't work. Okay, so I rang the doorbell, like, Derek, mommy, like, what's going on? So then my mom, we had a little window at the back door, opened the blinds, there was blinds, I'm not sure why, it's like a little window this big. Open the blinds, bye, shuts the blinds, that's what she did. I was like, hi, ring the doorbell again. And she opened the door a crack, and I like go in, right, because she's opening the door, and she's like, no, you can take your shit. If you want to act like an adult, you can leave. I'll never forget those words. You can take your shit. If you want to act like an adult, you can leave. You're so adult enough, go be an adult. Bye, you don't need us anymore. You don't need us trying to help you. And you're gonna bring hooligans in my house when I'm asleep, be a hoe, and have sex with them. I was like, in my house, like, how would she know? She just knows, like, moms just know. Like, we weren't like, like that, but you know, she just know. Why else would he be there at like 7 a.m.? You know what I mean? I didn't know what to say, because like, no, this is like my house. And I was like, well, where am I supposed to go? She's like, I don't know. You have an older man in your life. Why don't you get a house with him? He seems to know everything. Go. I don't want you in this house anymore. You are not my daughter. As in, like, I wasn't acting like her daughter. Like, she didn't know who I was anymore. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, I need to take my stuff. She's like, you're not allowed back in my house. But that's all your stuff. Actually, that's my stuff, but I'm being nice and giving you the toothbrush, toothpaste, and that's, I was like, no, I have, I named like all these, I was like, clothes, I have PJs, and what else did I say? My makeup, my black eyeliner. She's like, nope, I bought all that. And I'm like, well, what about a hairbrush? She's like, I bought all that. And then I realized in that moment, everything that I had, because I only had been working at Value Village a month or two. Literally my first couple paychecks, it went to, they weren't much, but I really wanted a cell phone, so I bought myself a cell phone. That's where my paychecks went to. Like, I saved up and bought myself a cell phone, so I like literally didn't have anything for myself that was like of value to take with me to live on my own at 16 years old, you know? So I'm like, I don't have anything. Like, my mom and my dad and my brother are my life right now. I can't make it on my own. So she went in the house, and about 10 minutes later, like, I didn't know what to do. I was phoning Steven, I was phoning like my best friend. They were like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I don't let guys in my house who are 23 years old. I'm good. Like, I don't know what to do. My mom opens the door. She hands me out a little piece of paper. She goes, here you go. Maybe this will help. And as soon as I grabbed it, she shut it again and locked it. And it was literally a number to, I'm not sure what exactly you call it. It's a place downtown in my city where if you are homeless as a teenager, you would go there and they'll help you. I'm not sure what, but it's called the Sturdy Stone Center. I don't know if it still is called that, but that's what it was at the time. She's like, there you go. So I phoned this number and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm kicked out. I'm not sure. And they're like, well, you can come here and sleep in a bunk bed. And I'm like, how am I supposed to get there? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have a way, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, my mom can't do this. And they're like, how old are you? And I said 16, and they're like, yes, she can. She can do that if you're 16 years old. Different rules are in different countries, states, cities. Everywhere there's different laws and rules. This lady on the phone told me that if I'm 16 years old and my parents kick me out, that is 100% right. Unless it is blizzarding bad conditions outside, then I need to not just be put outside. I don't even know I don't even know. So long ago, but because of the winter conditions where I live, like people have died in the weather outside and the bad conditions, like the snowy, brutally cold. So I felt like I had nothing, like at all, nothing. I had a toothbrush, toothpaste, and a granola bar. My mom didn't even have to give me that because all that shit she paid for as well. And I had my cell phone and I was like, cool. And then I said, okay, well, I'm gonna phone, I don't know who, what. So I phoned my dad and my dad's went to voicemail because my dad is a sucker. Like if you guys are a daddy's girl, I'm a daddy's girl. So if I were to phone my dad crying, he'd be like, okay, like you can go back in the house. Like he'd be like, okay. He was always like the okay, okay, which I loved at the time, but I feel like he just would have, I hoped he would have just been like my mom and been like, no, like get out of this relationship. But only you really can. Only you can realize you're in a shit relationship, and none of you beautiful people watching this deserve to be in a bad relationship, a controlling relationship, somebody who doesn't treat you right. You do not deserve it. You guys are so amazing and you're full of life and you have your whole lives ahead of you, and life is so short as it is, so you do not deserve that. Don't sell yourself short, you guys. The only other person that I had was Steven, and he's like, well, you can't stay here because your mom already phoned my mom and told me not to let you stay here. I needed to make it pretty much on my own and realize what I didn't have without my mom, and realized what this guy, Steven, couldn't give me. You know what I mean? He couldn't give me a house, he couldn't give me food, he couldn't give me anything because he didn't have it. So why am I pretty much being such a bitch to my family and shutting them out and letting this guy in there if he can't even do anything for me and is being so mean to my parents? So it made me realize a lot to an extent. I still stayed in the relationship for years after that, but my mom tried. She tried to kick me out, and she did honestly everything she could. There's only so much somebody else can do before you need to make changes and help yourself. And that's the truth. So I ended up staying with one of my really good friends who lived ironically a block away. We all lived so close, and I stayed, and it was like, I love my, I don't talk to this guy anymore. He was like my best friend, but this house was like, people like were up all night smoking, drinking, playing music loud. It was very quite the opposite in my house. Like there was always food in the cupboard and you could just like come and go as you please, and it was a nice environment. And now I'm like in a bunk bed with like this little kid, because there was like full of like kids in this house, and I'm just like, I can't sleep and I have to be out for school in the morning. And most of these people were like, nah, I'm not really gonna go to school tomorrow. And I was like, so I woke up, I didn't have any makeup, so I just woke up, brushed my teeth, and I ate my granola bar then, and I literally saved it. Went to school, didn't have a lunch, went there, and I phoned my other best friend. She brought me a lunch. I love her. And she actually brought me clothes too. Went to school, and as I was walking home from school, because my mom picked me up every single day, when I got to school that day too, I'm like looking, hoping maybe she was there, but she wasn't. So I just walked home, well, back to my friend's house, who was pretty much a block away. And I didn't know this, but my mom was spying on me, seeing if I was gonna go to school. And when she saw me walking home, as she says, looking haggard, it made her really sad to see me actually going to school and not just like hanging out with a 23-year-old all day, doing whatever, lazing around like he did, or at the house I was at, staying at. If I was just gonna, you know, just like stay with them and do whatever they did in that not so good house. But I didn't do any of that. I got up, I got my ass up, went to school. Oh, by the way, I didn't even say, as I was on the phone trying to find my friend outside my mom's house before I went over there, my phone cut off. And I was like, and as soon as it did, my mom opened the door. She's like, I paid for your phone bill, which was true because my mom paid for my phone bill, but she didn't pay for my phone. So I was allowed the phone, but it's useless without the payment plan. So she's like, I cut that off because I paid for that, and I'm not doing anything for you anymore because you don't have any respect for me. So I didn't have a phone. So anyway, fast forward, as I was walking back to my friend's house, I couldn't phone Steven to see if he was awake because he didn't wake up till like 5 p.m. because he stayed up all night and played video games pretty much every day. So I just waltzed on over there and I just knocked on the front door, and as soon as I did, his mom answered and said, you need to go home. And I was like, I can't go home. And she's like, your mom just phoned. She wants you to come home. And I'm like, I felt like this spark in me I don't know why it just didn't click to me there, and I kept this relationship for years. But anyway, I pretty much ran home, like with my book bags and my little tote bag, and my mom just cried, and we just hugged each other crying, and it was a really sad moment now that I look back on it. And I was just like crying. I was like, I'm sorry, I love you. And she's like, I can't believe like you still went to school, like you still want to do good, you're still a good girl, like. And I'm like, yeah, like I love you, I just really like this guy, and I just love you though more. And it was all like words I was saying, but I honestly felt like it at the time. Like I felt like I didn't want to be with this guy, and I wanted to be in a better relationship and with my mom and focusing on my family, and I had it so good there, so like why would I screw that up? So I was just like, I'm so sorry, I love you. And I didn't actually see Steven for about a month after that, and then I slowly started getting that reeled back in, and a lot of bad things happened from then. I stayed in that relationship when I was 17, 18, 19, 20. Sad, honestly, that I sold myself short. So happy that I'm not in that relationship anymore. And I'm happy for that he gave me this story to tell to my young viewers, to not sell yourself short. You guys are all worth it. You don't need to settle for a boy or a girl when you're 16 years old. People will come and go, and if they're fuck boys or fuck girls, then you just leave, you know? You don't just keep going. You're trying to not change somebody, but if you feel bad for somebody and you want to make something better, you guys can't change anybody, and who they are is who they are. And if you see warning flags right off the bat, then you need to grasp those and realize those. And yes, people make mistakes, but first impressions count to an extent. But if they're lying about their age and their name and pretty much who they are, you just need to take note of that. I hope this can help you in some way. Me and my mom had lots of fights surrounding Steven for years, and now that I'm away from that, my mom just is kind of wary about any guy that came into my life after that. In my earlier 20s, because I have been dating Dalton for a while. She's always been like a little wary, like what kind of guys are you gonna be with? But she likes Dalton, and I'm in a really good relationship now. And even if I wasn't with Dalton, I love Dalton and I would like to be with him, but I'm just saying I don't need a boyfriend, and neither do you guys, or a girlfriend. You don't need that. I'm happy and content, but I won't ever trap myself anymore and have myself like that. But that is the story of why I got kicked out at 16 years old. My story, it's 100% true, except for the name. There is so much more that goes into it, but I've already been yabbing here for a very long time, and I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I hope you have a great day. You all deserve to have a wonderful day and smile. I just realized I wasn't wearing earrings. Bye guys, there's so much more to be worried about. You are all beautiful. I love you guys.